We're doing 100K months. I just hit $1 million net worth. We just did 200K last month.
What does it take to go from 100K to 200K a month? A lot of people have a big misconception with credit and what is going on, everybody? I've got my good friend Zach over here, and we're going to be dropping some bombs for you, Zach. Welcome to the podcast. You're actually the second one to be on the show.
Thanks, dude. I'm super stoked to be on. When I saw that you're starting a podcast, I messaged you immediately. I'm like, yo, let's get on this stuff. So I'm glad that you made time to have me on, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate that too. And what I want to do is just like kind of just jump straight into it and ask you a question right out the bat, because I think the best way is just go straight down the value roll with all this and like jump into it. So like, for you, man, what's the most valuable lesson that you've learned throughout your career so far?
Oh, man, this is something that I've actually been thinking about recently. It's something that I've been teaching my students recently, and I think it's honestly what set me apart personally and sets other people's apart when it comes to achieving success, is that you have to be willing to suck for a very long time before you see results. And in my own personal journey, recently, the last year, 2022, I accumulated like 90% of my wealth in 2022. We're doing 100K months. I just hit $1 million net worth. We just did 200K last month. So like insane months. But if you go back about 3 years ago, actually, I'd say more 5 years ago, I was busting tables and I was training clients online for $50 a month. I remember being back bussing tables, and I was at the host stand at BJ's Brew House. I had my bussing tray right here, and I pulled out one of those like little receipt tickets, and I wrote down on the back of the receipt ticket, I said 30 clients, $100 a month, $3,000 a month. And I was like, that's what I need to do to quit my job. $100 a month, like no one's willing to work for a client and literally give their entire life to a client for $100 a month. But for me, I was like, I need to do that in order for me to build my roster to get out. Many people are trying to go out there trying to hit 10K a month, 15K a month, 20K a month right out the gate without putting in the work of, sucking for a little bit before they're able to get across to the other side. And so I went through a period of like 2 to 3 years where I was making 2 to 3K per month, maybe if that. I was having to bust tables. And then recently it just exponentially exploded into what we have today, which is, all brand new to me. But at the same time, it was like, I kind of saw, this was the plan all along, but it was just an exponential curve that you have to get through.
It all started on a napkin from busting tables, bro. Yeah. That is amazing. And I definitely want to go into that story I want to really cover a lot of that today on like the growth curve you've had with that, because a lot of our listeners are people that, they're already, maybe if they haven't already started it yet, they're already in the mix of kind of like on the journey up to getting their big numbers. And I really want to dive in on that a little bit more in detail. But first, before we do that, man, like talk to me a little bit more about like, and I posted this on my story today, just like the fact of like going all in on something, and kind of like with what you did there, where you put on the napkin of like, this is what I got to do. I got to make this happen. When you did that, did you just like quit right away, that bus tabling, or did you like go 100% on your business? How was that journey?
Yeah. So I had saved up maybe like 3 to 5K from busting tables. I had been busting tables for a couple years. So I had a little bit of savings, and really what happened was my life came crashing down on like a single moment. I moved down to San Diego, and my goal was to go to the community college there and then transfer into San Diego State. And then I was also busting tables. 2 years went by. I got denied from San Diego State 2 years in a row. And then I also got, I was stuck busting tables. I wasn't getting promoted. Guys that were getting hired behind me were getting moved up faster than me. They weren't moving me up. I tried to apply for different jobs and I wouldn't get a job. And so I was 23 years old. I was like, I can continue as a busser, get into San Diego State another year, if that, and then maybe graduate when I'm 26, or I just figure something out myself. And so everything kind of just came crashing down. I was like, okay, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to make money online. I'm going to go this new direction. I signed my first client. It was $50 a month. It was $150. And I was like, this is it. I'm going to quit my job. And so I quit my job right after that, and I went all in. I had the safety net of my savings for quite some time, but it was really just like, I'm either going to figure this out and make this work, or I'm going to live in my car.
I like that. And I think that's where a lot of people just need to kind of accept that. Like, if you're somebody that's watching this and you're on the edge of like, should you go all in? Do you have a job or something like that? I think Zach gave some really good advice there is, build up. If you have a little bit of a safety net, do that first and then go all in, because there's a really special thing about when you're 100% focused on something. And I always refer to Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich. He starts it out by saying, like, you have to have a burning desire to achieve your results. And he gives a story of how there was this country, I'm probably butchering it a little bit, but one country invaded the other, and they got there and they burnt the ships. And the leader says, because they were outnumbered, they're like, well, we're either going to win or we're going to die here. And like, that's the mentality I think a lot of people, when it comes to the entrepreneurship space, like if you can get that and tap into that burning desire, you know, you go from busting tables like Zach over here to having your $1 million net worth, which, bro, congrats on that, by the way, man.
Thanks, bro.
That's amazing. I've been seeing I've been following your journey since literally we met I think we met at that boat at Scaling with Systems, our friend Rubby's, right? And just seeing your journey from there it's been amazing. It's been inspiring, bro. And it's been just great to like see it. Like, what do you contribute to like your huge, like you blew up, bro. Like, what do you contribute to kind of like that huge growth period?
Oh man. So the first thing I would have to say is definitely Facebook ads. Facebook ads blew our business up. Our first 2 years, so the first year we launched PTBI was May 2020, and it was just me during COVID in my apartment. And we did about 250K that first year. I mean, I was tapped out. That was like, I was firing on full cylinders, waking up at 6 a.m., going to bed at 10 p.m. every single day, 7 days a week. But I had nothing else to do. And I was like, you know, I wanted to get this thing done. Second year, 2021, I raised the prices, hired my first virtual assistant, and, you know, I kind of hired out some coaching calls. We did 750K that year. But the problem was we were just so reliant on organic that it was just all over the place. We had a 120K month, and then a 40K month, and then a 60K month, and then a 50K month, and then, you know, 90K month, and then, you know, just all over the place. And I was having fun, but there was no consistency. I spent in 2021, I spent 120K in Facebook ads, and I kid you not, I got zero return. Nothing. But the thing was, my belief in Facebook ads and my belief in knowing that was the answer, it kept me going because I knew that it was just a matter of figuring it out. I'll kind of give you a brief story as to like why we didn't work. The reason why it didn't work is because we kept trying to build these funnels and processes that were outside of my current sales process. So the current sales process that we used to get our business up organic was Instagram and DMs. But I would go to these agencies and they're like, you need a Facebook group, or you need a call funnel, or you need a 5-day email nurture drip campaign. And I'm trying to build out these things, and I'm like, you know, it's just not working because I feel like I'm flying blind. I don't have any experience. I don't have any sales process built up with these things. And then I go into Rubby's mastermind. Rubby's like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, okay, I'm doing DMs. He's like, well, what if we just blow up the DMs? I'm like, well, that would, you know, give us a lot more leads to work with, and I know how to close them. And that's exactly what we did. And so the entirety of 2022, we were just in the green. I think we spent about 250K in ads, and we made like 960,000, so almost $1 million based off ads alone. So along with that, we were able to build our sales team, get our sales team in play. And then going into 2023, we got our ads down, we got our platform down, we got our sales team in place. And so we're really just in a position to just reap what we sowed the last year.
That's amazing, man. And it's funny that you said that too, about just kind of essentially pouring fire on the flame of what's already working. It's something that very big that we teach too. And I had the same thing, you know, before I was doing what I was doing, I was running agencies. So I was constantly working with, you know, a bunch of like local businesses, even coaches and consultants. And like the thing that I was always trying was very similar to you. We spent a bunch of money just doing like Facebook groups, VSLs, all this stuff. And it's like, once we kind of just went into just the DM ads, like you said, it was just like, that was just pouring fire on the flame, and it worked really well for us. And I think a lot of people, you know, regardless if it's DM ads or wherever you're at, like just maximize what you're currently doing and see how you can do that. And I think you said something really important is like, you spent that money at first, but you didn't give up. And a lot of people watching this are probably in that same position. And I know for a fact there's a lot of people that do that. They spend a couple $100s, a couple $1,000s, like, oh shit, man, ads don't work. This doesn't work. I'm done. Let's talk about a little bit about your mindset on that. Like, what were you going through when it was like, you see that money being spent, but you're like, it's not producing stuff. Like, how did you get through that?
It was my belief in that it can work, because I've seen so many other people do it, and I've seen so many other people talk about it. And so I was like, there's no chance that Facebook ad doesn't work. It has to be something that I'm doing wrong. And so my belief was that if I can just figure it out, then it'll all be worth it, because I'll be able to make that money back. but I just needed to figure out what that was. And so I worked with an agency. I worked with a different agency. I had some mentorship from my friend, and I followed Tanner Chichester was actually someone that I followed for quite some time before I started my business. Seeing his numbers and associating that with his ads, and then Alex Ramosi too, I'm like, this works. I know this works. I'm the one that doesn't know how to implement it.
Yeah. I think what you said there is the ability to accept that it's not the platform's fault, it's your fault, and taking extreme ownership is the next level into like entrepreneurship, is like just accepting it, because everybody knows ads work, right? Yes, some work better than the others. Certain platforms work better. And like you said, you got to play to your strengths, but at the end of the day, it all works. And if it's not working for you, anyone watching this, it's not the platform. It's something that you're doing. And I think Zach going through there, just battling it over and over and over again. And like, I have to make this work. I have to make this work. Going back to kind of like that burning desire that we talked about, dude, you cracked the code and you made it work. And now, I mean, we were talking before about your numbers. You're having some of the biggest months you ever had. Like, did you ever even think about like that? Did you kind of envision that when you were a busboy, like where you'd be at now?
So I always envisioned like kind of one clear step ahead. When I was a busboy, all I wanted to do was just make enough to survive, and that's it. I was like, I just don't want to have to, work for somebody else. I don't want to have to, just scared. And so my goal was just like 3 to 5K per month. I just want to make 3 to 5K per month. And I was so twisted. I was like 30 clients at $100 a month, $3,000 a month. That's a full-time job. You're making like barely anything. But for me, that's all I wanted.
Anytime at that point.
Well, I just wanted to get out. That's all I wanted. Yeah. And so once I was making 3 to 5K per month, I then got me to the next step. And then I'm like, oh, I'm seeing these people making 10K per month. They're doing exactly what I'm doing, but they're making twice as much as I am. That's the next goal. And so for a long time, just 10K per month. That was the only thing. And then 10K to 30K. Once we hit 30K, I'm like, all right, 100K a month. 100K a month was like the pinnacle. That was like, if we can do that, then I made it. Now we're here, and I'm like, shit. We got to hit 300K per month. I have no doubt in my mind that we can grow to $1 million a month within the next 5 to 10 years. But right now I'm just focused on 300K per month. That's the next step.
It's just like there's levels to it. It's like it's like a video game. Once you pass level 1, it's like, okay, I can do this. Level 2. And it's like, what's the next level? And just real quick for everybody that's watching, would you mind giving a little bit of context on like your current offer and what you do?
Yeah, so I'll start from the beginning. I started in the fitness space. So right out of high school, I became a personal trainer. I didn't go the gym route because I went to a gym to get hired, and they're like, we're going to pay you, I think it was like $12 an hour for each session. You're only getting paid per session. So, if you have 3 sessions, 3 times 12, like what's that, $48, right? So not much money. They're like, you have to sign your own clients. So you have to walk the floor, tap shoulders, and sell your own programs. We take 70% of the program. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all. I can just turn my mom's garage into a gym, sign my own clients, make 100% of the money. So that's what I did. Became a personal trainer, trained some clients in person, moved down to San Diego, started busting tables, went the online coaching route, scaled my online coaching business. And then when COVID happened, I took my skills and experience with fitness coaching, in the fitness industry and with business. And I created this program called Personal Trainers Business Incubator. And what we do is help people like in my position who want to become successful coaches online and have their own business. We give them the tools and skills they need to build a successful coaching business online. So that's the brief overview.
Yeah, I respect that, man. And I know we got a lot of fitness guys that tune into this stuff. What's something right now that if someone is kind of in your shoes or they're wanting to build their own fitness program, like what's an easy way for them to go get clients without spending money on ads?
I mean, the easiest thing, dude, is just tap into your network, right? I always say that in order for you to be successful in business and be successful with coaching is that you need to be a person that inspires other people to be led by you. So start with your own personal leadership in the network that you own. And so when you walk into a party and someone says, hey, what do you do? How do you introduce yourself? Do you introduce yourself as, a busboy that likes to train, or do you introduce yourself as a trainer? How you introduce yourself to your own personal network is going to determine how other people see you and how they build trust with you and determine your authority. And that's where you're going to start your business. My first client was my uncle, then it was friends from school, and then it was friends of friends from school, and then it was complete strangers, right? And so it starts your inner circle and goes out. So many people want to come on Instagram and start signing strangers as clients because they think they have to do business, or they're too scared and insecure to train people that they know in real life where it's like, no, you have to be so confident to be able to train the people that are with like right around you, because that's where it starts. Those are the people that trust you the most. And so start there, and then it will expand out until you're training complete strangers.
Yeah, I think that's money. I think going back onto what you talked about, like when you go to a party or a dinner table and when you explain your offer, and this is fitness, but this just goes in general, is like, if you can't explain your offer in less than like 20 seconds at a dinner table, you need to refine that. Right. Mm-hmm. Like I was on a call with a couple people, these two business partners that were kind of getting started about maybe a month ago. And I was like, all right, so what's your offer? They spent 25 minutes trying to explain what the offer was. And I was like, you got to get that down. And I think exactly when you have that down, you have the confidence. And like Zach said, is like when you can go out there and you can confidently serve your friends and people around you, it expands. It expands into like other people, your network, people start talking about you, you start getting referrals. And I think that was a great way to kind of just like tell people like, hey, break the ice. Like you just got to go in and do it.
Yeah. It starts with the people closest to you, right? Yeah. If you want to go sign clients right now, go through your phone contact and hit up every single person in your phone contact. Let them know what you're doing, get them on a call, see if they're interested. And then also too, the other thing is when I was first starting my business, I was doing a lot of favors in exchange for favors. For me, I was like, I'll train you, you give me experience. I'll train you, you give me results. That was our exchange in value at first. And then what I had was marketing material to show other people that I'm coaching. I'm getting results. And that it gets people excited. They want to be a part of it. And then they start coming to you.
Yeah. Case studies are huge. And I think that's in any business is like, you've got to go out there and you got to set your ego aside. And I think one of the biggest beginner mistakes is they think they're going to go from literally never selling anything online to selling a 5K program or something like that. And it's like exactly what you said is like, be willing to work for free if you have to get like an exchange for something so you can start building those testimonials and social proof.
And that's exactly what I was saying in the beginning of this podcast is most people aren't willing to take that or start there. They want to start with the 5K package, but it doesn't work like that.
You got to be willing to be an idiot, man. Like you got to be willing to just set your ego aside and go all in and forget what you see on social media and forget what people are telling you and just build. I think of it like playing like Legos. Did you ever play Legos growing up? It's like you start building them on top of each other and next thing you know, you have this big Star Wars Lego thing. You're like, how did I build that? And it's like you started with block one.
Yeah. Yeah. I never played Legos, but I play a lot of video games.
Okay, same thing. It's like there's levels to this, you know.
Yeah, there's levels. I always relate it back to like prestiging and like leveling up your guns. I played a lot of Call of Duty growing up.
Yeah, man, Call of Duty. I still think it's like, and I think a lot of people that play a lot of those video games like still do that. But like if you just took half the time you did into that to develop a skill set, you'd be way better off, and you'd probably be able to afford more video games too.
Yeah, 100%. And you have more time to play more video games as well.
Exactly. So another thing I wanted to talk about, man, and this is something I've observed from you, like just seeing you online and stuff and like knowing you, is you're really good at like, you know, building $1 million net worth is not something that's easy to do. Right. And I see it a lot of times, and I've fallen guilty of this quite a bit of times too, is like, you know, you make all this money and you spend it. How do you go about like staying frugal with your money and making sure that you're stacking some up on your side? I'm curious how you go about that.
I definitely think it's I wouldn't say childhood trauma because I think that you can turn your trauma into strength, but it was definitely beliefs passed down from my parents. My mom is very neurotic when it comes to money, and she's a big role model of mine too. My family would be financially screwed if it wasn't for my mom. And my mom took the best vehicle that she could take in her generation. She grew up in the 80s, the 90s. Back then, you go to college, you get a 9-to-5, save your money, you invest. So my mom has always been very good with saving money. She taught me how to save money, but at the same time, she would say things growing up that made me think that I had a lot of money. Now that I'm older, I understand that my parents were, you know, we're middle class. We weren't necessarily struggling, but we weren't exactly, you know, balling out. But she would say things that made me think that we were struggling. Being the older brother, I'm like, all right, I need to get my shit together. I need to become successful. I need to, you know, save money. And so she like put those beliefs in me that like, I need to save. And so when I was first getting started in before I even tapped into entrepreneurship, I learned about saving and investing, because for me, I was like, I need to get rich. That's my goal. I didn't know about business or entrepreneurship. So I'm going to get a job. Okay. Now that I'm making money on the job, how do I, you know, get rich? And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. They're like, you need to save and invest your money. I'm like, cool. 16, 17 years old, got a piggy bank. 18, 19 years old, I'm investing a little bit. And it gets to the point to where I'm like, all right, this is taking a little too long. So the habit of saving and investing was there. That was the first thing that was established. And then I was like, okay, I need a faster vehicle. I need to start a business. I need to make more money. I need to accelerate this process faster. So I kind of laid the foundation of the habit of saving and investing. And then I accelerated my vehicle, and that just accelerated the savings and investing even more so. I'm still very, very frugal, man. So, I just hit $1 million net worth. And for anyone listening, what that is just cash and crypto, essentially. The funny thing though, is my crypto is at a net zero. It's essentially just cash. I haven't gotten any sort of life upgrades. I'm still driving my Honda Civic, am very, very selective with where I live. So we just moved to Vegas to save on taxes. I don't really spend money. Also, this is a $15 shirt on Amazon. I got, 15 shirts for $15. So I save my money where I can. Most of it just goes into my business when I have to put it in my business.
I think that's a big thing where I blame social media for this. Is you go out there and it's like, in order to be wealthy, you got to look wealthy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, and I'll be honest, dude, that's what I did for my first decent amount of money coming through. I just kept spending it because I was almost got in a little bit of a zone where I was like, well, it makes me feel better. And it makes me kind of prove to the world that I can do this. But then you get to a point and you're like, as you're making this money, it's like, man, I actually want to be wealthy. I don't care about all this stuff. And I'm at the point where you're at now too. It's just Amazon stuff. My clothes, I used to buy a bunch of designer stuff, and looking back, it's that's just so dumb. It's I wear Amazon stuff more than anything else. It's it's a $10, $15 thing. And it's a lot of people, it's whatever it is that floats your boat. But at the end of the day, it's what's going to grow you and get you to the next level is exactly what you said, is being smart with your money and putting it back in your business when you need it.
And also saving some for yourself too. Having your own portfolio outside of your business to make sure that you're taken care of as well. The other thing too is I knew I wasn't going to go the traditional route. So I was I need to make sure that I have cash. So a lot of it is just based on fear based of okay, I don't have enough, so I need to go get it. Okay, now I have this. What if I lose it? That's what's keeping me going.
I like that. So do you have, for people watching this, do you have any recommendations on, the ones that are, say they're stacking up some cash right now, and each month they're looking at and they're like, well, where's my money going? What's your advice for people that, they want to build a good net worth? Where do they start?
I would definitely recommend a couple books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a really great book. That's a classic. The Psychology of Money is a great one too. I read that one and I absolutely loved that book so much. Essentially what that one talks about is how there are best practices for saving and investing money, but it's not a one size fits all shoe. And so it kind of just opened my eyes to be okay, I'm just going to do what's best for me financially, even though it might not be the most practical. So that was a good one. Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins was a fantastic book about the actual financial institutions, how they work, how your money grows, how just saving a little bit will compound into a huge net worth down the road. It was written in 2016, so it's a little bit outdated because there's crypto markets, real estate markets have changed and stuff, but it does give you the fundamentals of just understanding the financial lingo. And then another one was called The Bitcoin Standard. That one was really, really great. It just talks about the history of money, what money actually is, and how money can actually be fluid, and how, our dollar will probably change or look a little bit different in the next 20 to 30 years. And then the last one is Ray Dalio. I think it's called Rise and Fall of Empires. That one just talked about the countries, dynasties, how they've shifted power over the last couple hundred years, and how the US might be losing its power here soon. And it's a scary thought, but after I read that book, it actually made me more confident than ever in the future of, our country.
I really want to acknowledge you on that and point it out for everybody listening to this. Is notice how Zaks pointing out books, right? And I think that's a huge thing in this space is we're so blessed because now, you can go online and figure out whatever you want really with ChatGPT, all this stuff, but we still have books where you can go learn what it's taken someone 50 years to learn in literally just a couple hours of reading. And a lot of people just don't do that, man. I applaud you on that too, because you're talking about it every morning. I wake up and read. That's one thing that always just helps me get to the next level. And I think it's where a lot of people are they want the shortcut, but in reality, it's just learn from someone that's already done it.
Mm-hmm. One more thing I wanted to add in there too, some practical stuff. Robinhood has been a big thing for me. I think when I was first getting started with investing, this was back in 2014, 2015. And it was you had to go have $3,000 to open up an account at TD Ameritrade. And I'm in high school. I'm how do I get $3,000? I'm trying to open up an account. And then Robinhood came out soon after that. And I was wait, I'm able to tap into the markets just on this app. And so I've been able to, invest a lot over the last 10 years on that app alone. So if you're just getting started, Robinhood's a really great app. If you read Money Master the Game by by Tony Robbins, learn about stock and indexes, and then start with Robinhood. That is a fantastic place to start as a beginner. The next thing is this app I use called Mint. What Mint does, it combines all of your accounts. So all of your bank accounts, all of your credit cards, your loans that you have, and then any personal property. And it takes a real life snapshot of your current net worth. And so I knew I hit $1 million net worth because I had all my bank accounts there. I had all my credit cards there. I had all my investment accounts there. And I track that. I look at that number once a month. I don't try to do it daily because I get neurotic, but I look at it once a month, and I can tell if I'm saving and investing and the number is growing, then I'm in a good position. If that number is going down, then I'm doing something wrong.
I like how you mentioned that you don't check it every day because you go crazy. I think everybody, you got to watching this. Definitely, if you haven't, go download Mint. That's when, for me, my financial IQ started going to the next level. Is just like seeing where I'm putting my money, because you can categorize everything. And I think regardless of what you do, if you take one thing away from this, if you haven't gotten that app, go get that. And then obviously there's a lot of other gems on here, but just check it. Like, that's the biggest thing, is just understanding where your money goes. Because a lot of the clients I work with, sometimes they'll come back, they'll be like, dude, I just had like a 30K month. Be like, awesome, man. How much you keep? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to start prioritizing that. And there's different levels. I think, like, once you start like making good money, it's like, okay, well, I got to really focus on this. And some other people just like spend it. So it's like, know where the money goes, and it's going to help you out a lot.
Dude, I think people have a lot of, I think people get really anxious and they don't like looking because they don't want, it's called willful blindness. They'd rather remain ignorant to the fact of their financial situation because they don't want to see the truth. They don't want to know that they're struggling, or they don't want to see that their bank account is in the negative. It's the same thing that I did when I was in school. I was like, I don't want to check my grades. I don't want to know where I'm at because I don't want to be disappointed with bad news today. So I'm just not going to look, and I'm just going to assume the worst and have willful blindness. But I think a lot of people have that with their financial situation too. They don't want to look.
Oh, for sure. Dude, I mean, I'll be honest, like, when I put a lot of my money into Bitcoin, and there was a couple $100,000 where, when it just went away, like, I didn't update my Mint on that for a while because I couldn't accept it.
Yeah,
I was like, it's going to come back. And then eventually I was like, oh my God, if I got to bite the bullet and just accept it. So it's like, you just have to.
You didn't sell, did you?
Well, I'm not going to go down the whole rabbit hole. I still got some.
Okay.
But the platforms that I had it in, a lot of them ended up going bankrupt.
Oh.
So it was.
Oh, you're one of those. Yeah. Collateral damage.
Yeah, we still got some Bitcoin going on in there, but because thank God for Jeff's fund. Is what I'll say. Orca fund is definitely helpful with that. But dude, I mean, yeah, same thing going back to that. It's like, you live almost in a denial stage for a little bit. Like, it was hard for me to accept it personally. Like, there's just, that money is not yours anymore. And I agree 100% with what you say. Is a lot of times people they live in the denial, and you just got to accept it. And like, that's the first thing. It's kind of like being a drug addict or something. Is like, the first step is accepting it, and then from there you can only get better.
Well, if you put it in terms of fitness, the first step is jumping on the scale. How many people don't jump on the scale because they don't want to acknowledge the truth?
Yeah, that goes in business, dude. This is money. That's literally just business. Like, you just got to accept it, dude. I wrote something down the other day because there's this new book I'm reading, and I have it written down right here because I think this is a really good quote for like just entrepreneurs in general. And it kind of, as we were talking, came to my mind, is like, you experience the world not as it is, but as you are. And it almost just comes from a point of accepting what the world is and understanding, like, nothing's actually truly positive or negative. It just is what it is. Like, if you look at your bank account and you're like, man, I only have 15K in here, and you get pissed about it, somebody else would look at that and be like, man, I got 15K in here. So it's like, reverse how you acknowledge things, and that's what's going to ultimately help you accept the truth better.
That's all perspective.
Yeah. Perception is your reality.
When you're first getting started, reading and just getting education is the foundation that you lay that's going to compound into success later in life. I started reading books when I was 15, 16, 17 years old, and I spent from 15 to about 23 just ferociously reading mindset books, emotional intelligence books, finance books, business books. And I'm going to be honest, bro, I've actually stopped reading the last couple months. The last 6 months I haven't read significantly, or like the books that I'm reading is just like I'm reading Sapiens, which is a really good book about like the history of humankind, but I'm not like learning about like business stuff, because once that foundation and information is gathered, it really just comes down to executing. And so for me, I'm like, I'm going to get so much more out of my time just executing and doing the thing on a daily basis that I am going to get from reading. So eventually you do get that time back, but it does take some time to first get all the skills to be a well-rounded person to be successful in entrepreneurship.
I like that, dude. I mean, I think a lot of people get stuck in that too, of the learn mode rather than implement. Like for me personally, like I mentioned, I read every morning, and for me, it's like just to keep my brain sharp, because like I like to process, when I can see and process stuff better, I notice it, like I perform better later in the day. But a lot of people get that mixed up. Like you said, it's like they'll just read or they'll buy all these courses and just go through the course, but then don't implement things. And then like, this doesn't work. Ads don't work. Like business doesn't work. This is all a scam. I'm sure you've seen it too. All those people that comment on ads, like, you're a scam. This stuff doesn't work. And it's like, bro, no, you don't work.
Dude, all I do is I just delete them. But
bro, every day.
I know. Yeah. Well, the thing is like, I would love so much to like clap back, but it does zero good.
It actually hurts your ads when you do that, because it tells the algorithm that you're engaging with it and that it thinks it brings more people like that. So you're doing the right thing by deleting it as well, because when more of those come on there and other people see it, then they come in. And it's like the best thing you can do when you have like people talking shit on your ads is just delete it, no matter how bad you want to go in there and just like go back and start talking to them, because I'm the same way, man.
Yeah. I just feel bad for them. I'm like, you guys just have no idea.
Dude, it's like, then you look at their profile picture and it's like a picture of them and a cat or something.
Yeah,
and
no, every single time. Every single time.
I pray for you. I don't, but I do want to say I do.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let's jump into, when we wrap it up from here, I want to jump into like some of the more advanced stuff for the people that are still on here watching this, like really go to the next level. I mean, what does it take to go from, I mean, you doubled. What does it take to go from 100K to 200K a month?
There was a couple things that ended up happening. Is obviously we increased the ad spend. All of last year, we were spending about, 20 to 25K in ads. I think the most that we got our ad spend up to on a daily basis was like $1,200. This year in January, I made a deal with my team. I was like, look, for every close that you get, I'm increasing the ad spend. And so every single day they bring in a close, I'd increase the ad spend. We ended up getting our ad spend up to $2,000 a day for probably like, a full week. So that brought in a ton of traffic. But then the thing that really helped us blow up was getting our funding down. We were able to get, significantly more paid in fulls because we were just educated on helping people get access to money, because we found that our offer is solid. They're bought in. They want to get started. But what's holding most people back is just their financial situation. They just don't have the funds. And so we were able to get our funding down, and we were just pushing, credit cards on people, just being educated in what the best cards were, what to apply for, et cetera, et cetera. And so we were able to get a lot more paid in fulls, which blew our revenue up. I think that's a good point too. When you are starting out, using credit and understanding that credit is not evil and you can use credit to your advantage. I put everything on credit. I paid for all of my coaching, all of my masterminds, all of my mentorships, everything on credit. So definitely think it's a good tool, but it also is a good tool as a business owner, because it helps you defeat the number one objection you get is finances. So if you can get people access to money, then you can get them in, you can get them the help that they need, and then you grow as well.
I think that's perfect that you brought that up too, because a lot of people have a big misconception with credit and debt, thinking all debt's bad. Don't get me wrong. If you go and get a credit card and you just go buy a bunch of designer stuff and you just leave that on there, yeah, that's bad debt. Or if you just go and buy a bunch of Amazon stuff, bad debt. But when you're utilizing it to learn a skill set, like that's the next level, because with the skills, they pay the bills, right? Like I think that's where everybody needs to be investing in yourself until you can't anymore. Kind of like what you said with the books is like, you've got the foundation. You don't need to keep doing that. And that's what will take you to the next level, is just like understanding, like, it's what it blows my mind when people say like, oh, well, I want it, but I can't get it. It's like, if you want something, there's no reason you can't get it, especially in this world that we live in with access to credit, access to capital, access to friends, family members. Like, I mean, shit, I've heard of people even going on the internet and starting like a GoFundMe just to get into a coaching program. Like,
damn,
there's
that's
always
crazy.
a reason. And the people that make the excuses, you're always going to make an excuse the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's crazy. GoFundMe for a coaching program. That is next level.
When you want it bad enough, man, it's like you got to be willing to burn the ships. Like if you got to go stand outside and sing a song and get people to give you money in a bucket, like you're probably being more entertaining than the smelly people out there anyways.
Yeah. But that, I mean, you know, going back to your question, that's pretty much what blew our revenue up was credit and then increasing the ad spend. But it's kind of a blessing and a curse because we had set a solid pace that we're like, okay, we'll hit, you know, 200K by quarter 2, 300K by quarter 3, 200K the first month of the year. And the 31st it comes around and I'm like sweating. I'm like, fuck, we got to do it again. That's the standard now. Like now, if we hit less than 200K, I'm going to be upset.
100%. You got to set those like expectations of like, once you hit an expectation, then it's like, that becomes kind of like the ground and you got to keep going up and up from there. The other thing that you talked about that was really beneficial where a lot of people don't really fully understand is like, it does take money to make money at some point, right? Like everybody can go out there and grind. We gave you some groundworks, like, you know, go out there, reach out to your network, go on social media, prospect, all that fun stuff. But like to really hit those next levels, like you got to be willing to invest money back in your business. And you said it yourself. I mean, you got up to spending, what'd you say? I think $2,000 a day on ads. And I know sometimes me and you talking through Instagram, we're voice note and we're like, bro, like I'm sweating a little bit right now. I'm not used to spending this much money on ads. What's your mindset as you go through that, man?
So what really did it for me is I had 2 of my closers stay with me for 2 weeks in December, and we were talking, you know, we're talking goals. One of the closers like, yeah, man, I just want to make 10K a month. I want to do this. And he's a great closer. And I kind of just had a moment that I'm like, I'm doing him a disservice not loading up his calendar with calls. I know for a fact that if I increase the ad spend, we could put more calls on the calendar. And so I need to do it for him. And so I told him, I was like, look, as long as we're in the green and you guys are bringing in deals, I'm going to keep increasing the ad spend. And it got to a point to where my team wouldn't even tell me that a deal is closing. They would just text in the group chat, say ad spend's going up. And I would know that a deal is about to come through. And my end of the bargain, the obligation is that every time a deal comes through, I'm going to increase the ad spend. So it was really just like, okay, I need to stop being so scared and start playing for them so I can give them opportunity. And it's only going to help me in the long term and the short term. But my thing too is like, I refuse to lose money, right? Facebook ads, it's not like gambling. Or gambling, you have you know, there's significant odds that you're going to lose the money. With Facebook ads, if you have the skill set and the systems in place, odds are you're going to make money unless something happens, but it's usually something that's within your control that you can adjust. And so if we're not closing deals and we're starting to go into the red, I'm turning the ad spend down so that we're not in the red. So for me, it's like, as long as we're in the green, I'll turn it up for them so they can close. And it compounded and it exploded.
That's great leadership, man. Like really prioritizing your business and like like the people working for you and like really helping them hit goals, because I think that's another huge thing in the space is like when you have a team, managing a team is the next level stuff. But like when you have a team, like really incentivizing them on what you want and making it a win-win for them is essentially how you win.
Team management is definitely a new thing that I've had to grow into this year.
I feel like it's something you're just always constantly trying to get better at. I don't like, for me, I'm the same way. It's like, that was like one of my hardest things to like fully like understand and like how to, and again, at this point, like I still have a long way to go, but it's always like constantly, how do you get better at this? And for me, it's just like finding the people that have been doing it for a while and like monitoring and understanding how they've doing it and doing it yourself almost.
Yeah. And what I've kind of learned about, team leadership this year is that if you're a coach and you coach people and that's what you do, you build them up and you turn them into leaders. All team management is just coaching your teammates, right? It's literally just like, instead of thinking that we have 130 active students in PTBI. Obviously I don't have my hands dirty with all of them. We have 15 team members on our team. So I'm like, I got 15 clients. Those 15 people are the people that I'm going to be pouring into on a daily basis and coaching and turning them into leaders. And that will have a ripple effect that will go down into our prospects, go down to our students, and go down into everyone else that our team meets touch.
That's a great leadership strategy is coach your team members into getting the results that you want. Zach, dude, thank you so much for hopping on here, man. Where can everybody find you?
Find me on Instagram. That's my main platform. ZAKKCOLBURN. If you follow, just be careful. There might be a couple fake accounts that will follow you right after and try to message you. But my main account is there on Instagram. You can find me there.
Cool. Yeah, we'll plug that down below. Thanks so much for hopping on today, my man. And we'll see you. I'll have to get you back on the episode later down the road.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, we'll come back next year and rate the progress.
Let's do it. Later, guys.